quilting friends. Happy Feature Friday, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me in my sewing studio today. I sure appreciate y'all being here today. I want to try to help everyone out with a question we have from a lot of our quilting friends, and that is, how do I fix my nesting if I mess up somewhere along the lines? I don't roll my quilt enough, or I roll my quilt too much, and I need to get it set right. So we're going to try to go over that today and how I do this. Maybe some of you quilters out there who have had your butlers for a while know how to do this a different way, and if you do, great, and share that with us. But this is how I have had success doing this, so I want to share it with everybody. I am just working on a piece of batik fabric. I don't have a quilt top set up today, but I am quilting it out because I'll probably use it for a dog blanket. So I'm going to show you guys what we have and how to fix when we've made a mistake. So I've already nested on my screen, and this is the row my robotic system wants to stitch out. I have rolled my quilt so you can see I'm still sitting at where my nesting point would be, and this is my previous row, and this would be the area that I need to stitch that row, but I did not roll enough. And I know that because if I move from my nesting point forward, and I can pull, you know my crosshairs is where my needle's at. If I pull forward to kind of make sure this is gonna fit, I am hitting my front roller bar here, and I still have about an inch worth of stitching that needs to be done that I'm not going to be able to do. I'm going to hit my roller bar, and my robotic system is going to throw an error code, and I'm not going to be able to stitch that out. And I'm going to be very sad and have to pull out a lot of stitches and redo this. And it will hit an error code probably right here. So it won't be a ton of stitches if that were to happen, but I need to fix this. And the easiest way I know how to fix this is to kind of fool the system. And fooling the system is just backtracking. So this is a row that needs to stitch out. But what if this were my previous row? All the nesting system is doing is just creating one row after another. So what if we took this row and pretended it was this row that was already stitched out? To do that, I'm going to be using my stop point of the row that is going to stitch out, and use it as the stop point for the row that already has stitched out. So my little red square, I'm going to realign with the end of the row that's already stitched out. So I'm going to be releasing my roller bars and rewinding my quilt. Usually we roll our quilts forward. I'm going to be rolling my quilt backwards. I'm going to put you guys on my tripod and try really hard to get everything in frame while I'm doing this. This does take both of your hands and a little bit of patience. If you have someone at home that could help you do this, so each of you can take a roller bar, that might be helpful. I'm going to bring my robotic system kind of over to the area where I know my little red square is going to be on my pattern. And I know I need to kind of rewind my quilt back until all of this meets up. So I'm going to unlock both of my rollers, and I'm just trying to rewind my quilt back. The point I want to get is right here. That's where the end of my stitching was on my previous row. So I'm going to go as slow as I can. Sometimes your rollers get the best of you and they release really quickly, and then all of your quilt kind of falls in. That's why I said if you have someone at home that can help you, or call one of your quilty friends to come over and hang out, this might be a little bit easier to do. So I'm getting pretty close. My needle is right there at the end of my pattern. Things are still lined up on my screen, so I'm going to try to lock my roller bars here, and then I need to just rewind just a hair, get this back on track. I have clicky rollers. Some of you, your rollers might not click. right back. Okay, so let me bring you guys back down. So if that was hard to see, I've got my blue crosshairs. Let me line that back up. My blue crosshairs, which is where my needle location is back on the red box. That is the end of my pattern. And my needle is hovering right over the last stitch of the row that I've already stitched out. So in theory, all of this stitching that shows on my screen should line up with all of the stitching that's here. We could be slightly off just because we may have a little bit more tension after we re-rolled our fabric here, but we're pretty darn close. And with nesting, usually you get pretty close unless you have some exact nesting where these rows are going to be touching. There's usually a little bit of space between them when we nest, and it should be okay. So now that we're lined back up, I've got my needle here, everything is aligned here. I'm just gonna re-nest. I'm gonna hit my nesting feature again. I'm gonna move to select my nesting point. So I'm gonna hit just something on my pattern. I'm gonna go with this point in the leaf. I'll drop my needle down into place. I'll release my roller bars again. Your roller bars get a good workout with this. This time I'm gonna make sure that I roll my quilt top back far enough so that I can truly get that whole stitch out in here. Locking my roller bars back into place. Okay, I've rolled my quilt so I can hit my check mark. I'm still in my nested point because I dropped my needle down in my fabric. It's re-nested for us. I don't need to move anything because it's well nested. I can hit my check mark, and now my nesting is complete. So if I pull my needle back out of my fabric here, I can just double check my rows. So if I'm at the bottom of this swirl, I'm not touching any of the new nested row here. And if I pull forward, the bottom of my new nested row is plenty of space before I get near my roller bars. So I can go ahead and stitch this out. So I just wanted to show y'all as this was stitching out, I paused it for a moment so you could see we did such a great job fixing our nesting. Look, this is the row we're stitching out. I stopped here. Our nesting looks great. We've got the perfect amount of space to match our nesting up. We are nowhere near our roller bar at the bottom of our design, and I think this turned out great. So even though we don't like when mistakes happen, they happen. I make mistakes all the time. This is a great way to fix a nesting mistake. You can always just roll your quilt back, line up that end point as an easy point of reference, and redo your nesting row. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for your video suggestions. I do try to help out all of my quilting friends as much as possible and get to your video suggestions as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.